Harper Business and HarperAudio present The Art of Business Wars, battle-tested lessons for leaders and entrepreneurs from history's greatest rivalries, by David Brown. This is the author. A note before we begin. For a list of additional reading materials, don't forget to download the accompanying enhancement PDF from your audiobook provider, or go directly to www.harpercollins.com/audio/The Art of Business Wars. To our loyal podcast listeners, and to the entrepreneurs, executives, and employees featured in these stories, they are the true business warriors. Introduction. Move not unless you see an advantage. Use not your troops unless there is something to be gained. Fight not unless the position is critical. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Business is battle. Regardless of how you make your profits, there's somebody else out there willing to do the same thing faster or cheaper or better than you can. Your rival is hungry, determined, scrappy as hell. How are you going to beat them? Well, the stakes are high. Sure, a business rivalry, unlike a war, is civilized, in theory at least. But lives are still on the line. You and your employees and all your families need to eat. If the business fails, how are you all going to pay the rent? Your nation still stands after you lose a business war, but if you're on the breadline, you're still a casualty. Survival of the fittest is as true in the boardroom or the co-working space as it is on the battlefront. If the source of your livelihood is on the line, the war is very real to you. So, do you want to win or not? For well over 2,000 years, warriors looking for an edge have turned to a slim treatise of military advice and philosophy by the Chinese general Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu lived during the Warring States period, an era of brutal, unceasing conflict. What better parallel for the American business landscape of the last century and more? Though the English translation of the title of his book is The Art of War, Sun Tzu was primarily concerned with avoiding a fight. As a veteran of fierce battles, he knew firsthand that war was expensive, wasteful, and insanely risky. It was for this last reason above all that war was always the last resort. He will win, Sun Tzu wrote, who knows when to fight and when not to fight. Instead, he focused on alternatives: avoidance, alliance, intimidation, deception. If and only if every other strategy failed did it make sense to start swinging swords. Even then, you waited until the odds were in your favor, when a decisive victory could be claimed. To Sun Tzu, there was no greater waste of precious resources than a stalemate. Though the book is slightly dated by its chariot fighting tips, most of The Art of War feels as timely and relevant as it must have 2.5 millennia ago. Much of its guidance applies to any high-stakes conflict. Whether writing on the subject of cultivating patience, planning ahead, or exploiting your opponent's vulnerabilities, Sun Tzu gives the average McKinsey consultant or Harvard Business School professor a run for their money. That's why when we decided to write a book based on business wars, one of the world's most popular podcasts, we turned to this immortal classic for inspiration. Now, the conceit of our podcast is simple. Each series relates a pitched battle between two iconic companies: Uber versus Lyft, FedEx versus UPS, Starbucks versus Dunkin' Donuts. By looking closely at past entrepreneurial battles, we hope to get inside the minds of the leaders who fought them and better understand what it takes to win. As Sun Tzu knew, experience is the greatest teacher. When we can't call on our own experience, we can turn to history for our lessons. As Winston Churchill said, the longer you can look back, the farther you can look forward. Our goal with this book is not only to tell a series of extraordinary stories, but to delve even deeper than the format of the podcast allows, to get to the very heart of each conflict and unearth all the valuable lessons to be found there. The stories of business.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?